Welcome back to the Past Alive. Thank you all for tuning in. And tonight, it is that time of the month again. It is the first. That means it's time to head back to the year 1990 and savagely swashbuckle our way through a wax box of 90 tops, chasing after the ever so elusive Frank Thomas 91 front error card, a card I've been after for the better part of my life, and one that I've chased after here religiously for going on 6 years now. The most recent error card of Frank Thomas sold, I think, just a couple days ago. There's a PSA 4. It sold for almost $7,000. So you can kind of gauge the value of this. If you're at the National this week, perhaps you may even run into one or two there. I know I did last year. The highly coveted card. Maybe we'll find it tonight. And I appreciate you guys all being here. We got Mikey G pushing buttons and everybody else. I picked this up about a month ago for $50 at a flea market. I said I was going to discontinue the search altogether because these boxes are continuously skyrocketing in price. I'm selling for upwards of $80 now for a wax box, which is freaking nuts for 90 tops. But if I find them for a good price, $50 or less, I will always buy them so we can do this search together. They had the top taped, which sometimes is not a good sign because I've definitely bought in boxes of 90 tops before that were all infested with mites or had water damage or whatever else. I feel like that's something you might see if you run into a taped wax box at a flea market or garage sale, whatever else may be. The box bottom cards, we got Ripken Rice, the Ryan Express, as Corey calls him, and one who left us way too early, unfortunately, Ryan Sandberg, who passed away a few days ago at the age of 65. Still getting over that. It's absolutely crazy. He was announced cancer-free, and then it came back, and several months later, he's gone, which sucks. Rest in peace, Sandberg. We got Corey in here. We got Jerry Manley, member for over 3 years. This is Hey Breaking News. The no name is located in the blank. I don't know if you got cut off there or what, but Jerry Manley, member for a long freaking time. Let's get down to some hanky-panky, some shenanigans, and some cardboard debauchery. We got Lee Criterium Racer in the house. We have Moldy Gum, of course. Criterium Racer says this will be the month. Hit the thumbs up. Thanks, Lee. Lee just posted a video recently. Go subscribe to our buddy Lee Criterium Racer and check him and his pickups and his collection out. Good to see you, Lee. We got a pissed off Dick Hauser to start things out. I'm actually filming this in my living room. We are things are a bit in disarray, as they always are. I've had a ton of collection calls lately and been picking up some stuff. I should have some videos. I bought a collection the other day. Not a huge one. I think it's like maybe 15 binders or something like that. There's a ton of 60s football, 70s, or 60s baseball in there. So I have a video to do on that. I had a guy that came by yesterday and just gave me a box of cards. Just told me to take them. And nothing crazy. There were some pretty valuable Power Rangers cards in there from what I ended up finding out, though. And then, so been getting a lot of collection calls, so we'll see where that takes us. So I'll have a video on the 60s and the vintage here pretty soon. But there's a link to Lee's channel. Thank you for posting that, Corey. Here's Puckett. The precursor for Thomas and Wax is always the Kurt Schilling First Tops card that is preceded by the Tom Gordon Gold Cup. So we'll probably see some Mandela effects. We'll probably see some mullets flapping in the wind like that of Danny Gladden. May even see, some valuable error cards in here. Pearl Park Football, MPLS in the house. Is good luck. Thanks, Pearl Park. Good to see you, man. I know Pearl Park has a channel too. If Corey could post a link to him, check him out. Subscribe to him. We got Jetman80 also in the house. Says bring in the Green Ranger. He'll find the no name. I used to love the Green Ranger. I remember when he first became a thing, and I was like so stoked. It was like a two-part. I think it was more than 2 parts. It was a mini-series, and it was freaking awesome. Mike Schmidt turned back the clock. There's Gibby. Looks perplexed in that photo. Todd Zeal, Future Star card, and we already have Mickey Weston. Unfortunately, we have not yet summoned the 3-headed Mickey Weston, the Nick West SSP, but you know what we got to do to unearth that card upon the earth. There's Vince Coleman, Devon White, Joe Price, Dravecki, and Steve Wilson. I missed something, and I apologize for that. Thank you for that, Paul L. Trevor Williams also with us in the house is at a Weird Al concert with my daughter. Good luck. I feel like Trevor Williams is like the busiest guy ever. He's always doing stuff, yet he's always in here while he's doing it, which is freaking awesome. I have something I got to send you, Trevor. Been trying to find random stuff as I go through all of the heaps and mounds of junk I have laying around to throw together to send out to you. But I think I do have something that you may like and may tickle your fancy. Nolan Ryan, that's the 5,000 Ks card along with Harold Baines. Jetman says I was working at Toys R Us when the Power Rangers hit. I remember when those came out, man. And I was definitely one of the kids that was going nuts and wanted them real bad. I think I might have got one, and that was it. I think I had the Green Ranger. But the figures were like, they were real terrible. I just thought they were real poorly made. They were junk in the beginning. They were like real hard plastic and didn't really bend whatsoever. There's Almar, Kevin Apier. Sachs, we have the propaganda piece for Topps debut magazine that year. Canseco on the cover. Ken Williams having a time of his life. Jeff King rookie card. There's a Trammell, Henneman. And Frank Williams ends that. Pack. Jeremy, this is a doll style. The action figures. They were the ones that only bent at the knee. And like, they weren't, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm trying to say to describe them, but they weren't like other action figures that you could actually move around and were agile. They were just real stiff. I'm like, what the hell are you supposed to do with this thing? So I don't think I really ever played with it. I'm like, this kind of sucks. I remember one of the Megazord real bad, and I never got it. And my brother's neighborhood friend, he got it, and I was real pissed off and jealous. And I'm pretty sure back then, when I was probably 9 years old, I was plotting stealing that out of his house. There's a second-year John Smoltz, Charlie Hayes, Reed, Fred Lynn. There's been a lot of wild things going on in the baseball world as well, especially with the Buccos. Moses traded away Key Brian Hayes, and then he had a 2 or 3 run homer with the Reds in his debut with them, which is pretty wild. There's Dan Quisenberry. Corey's going to show up. Wegman and Wally Joyner. Lack of action figure, Corey says. Dave M is here for the shenanigans. Maybe tonight will be the night. Who knows? I missed out on it last month. What I did on the 10th or something like that. And like, yeah, we got to get back on schedule with this. Although this might be the last one if I don't find any more 90 Topps boxes. If I would have gone to the National, I'm sure there's plenty of them there. Probably like $80. There's Pat Perry showing off his pale pits. Jeff Juden. Orozco. Sergio Valdez and that creepy side-eye. Jerry Millis, it's been a minute since John's dropped an F-bomb. I feel like when I've dropped F-bombs, it was usually during auctions. I'm sure Paul L remembers it, and I'm just not paying attention. It just slips out. And all those videos they're all privatized. There's that sweet Topps binder. Eisenreich in the pulsating jugular vein. There's the Sandberg. That's such a bummer, man. Steve Lake. I was literally, a few days before he died, I was eyeballing his 83 O-Peachy because I've never come across that card in the wild. And I found a Tony Gwynn O-Peachy from 83 for like $20 somewhere. And I was like, I got to get the Sandberg in the bog. So I was looking those up, and then he passed away. Then they went way up, and it's like a couple days later, they went back down again. So I think they're around like $40 now. But definitely one I need to get for the personal PC, as some people would call it. Kevin Mitchell starting his pack off. There is Bob Kipper, high as hell. Wally Unibrow says, I got some 90 Topps jumbo packs I can drop off the shop this weekend. Yeah, Joseph C. was my dealer there for a while. He would come down to the store and drop off a whole bunch of jumbo packs. I'm pretty sure those dried up quite some time ago. Jeff Blauser, there's the Mel Hall minus the poop stain. I've actually, I've thought about returning to the retail world and reopening a store. I constantly see comments online that would like talk about the TPIA retail store like failing. It didn't fail. I just didn't renew the lease because the owners were garbage. Business was really good there. Got a lot of good collections that came through there. I like doing it, but I wasn't able to like travel and do the flea markets and really have much of any kind of life on the weekends because I had to be there. So it was 100% my choice to just not renew the lease. Nothing to do with business whatsoever. Nolan Ryan, 5,000 Ks. I feel like I've said that so many times, and people are like, yeah, his card shop just failed and didn't do well. Like it did really well. I just I didn't have any kind of I don't know what you want to say, a cordial relationship with the owners. There's the Dorking X at Ken Phelps. Ozzie Smith. So I thought about trying to seek out another office space that's nowhere near that one because that whole block is like owned by these people that's some company in Pittsburgh that just, I don't know, they are awful. There's a lot of like slumlords like that, I feel like. Steve, Greg Gagne, Roberto Kelly, Bob Boot. Can we get A +1 on John's manicure. Mikey says, John the Cult knows the truth. I figured they did, but just for clarification, I feel like I've heard that like so many different times. I've even heard from people that are around here. It's like, no, the shop was actually freaking awesome, but it was kind of a one-man deal where I kind of had to always be there and do everything. I was like, yeah, I don't really have time to do anything else that I like anymore because I'm always here in my spare time. Belinda, but after the pipes burst and shot water on half of my back room, the stock room, and the horsefly infestation, and then something exploded in the furnace and shot black soot onto everything in the store, I was like, all right, it's time to go. As Deion Sanders. Not a rookie card, as some people would tell you. Paul L says, Pee-wee is likely the one spreading the gossip. Yeah, Pee-wee's actually here. He's notorious for spreading gossip. There's a Biggio, second-year card, Melita Perez for Jonathan H., who is kind of fresh off the abandonment list. He's made a comeback in recent times. Yeah, Pee-wee's been spreading all kinds of slander. Still has the trach. Still has emphysema. Well, then, says Slumlords at Greensburg sounds like a reality show. That'd probably be a pretty good show, actually. I think I'd watch that. Probably because I would know the people on it. Joseph C. was always lingering around down there, bringing goodies. Dave Clark. JC says that deal on a 10 is decent coin. There's definitely a good bit of stuff in 90 tops, in 10s. Valuable. Greg Jeffries Gold Cup. I know we've talked about that before. There, I mean, a lot of these cards are $100 plus. I mean, the Griffey Gold Cup. At one point during the C19 pandemic, this was about $1,000 in a PSA 10. They've come way down since then, but they were really up there as a second-year Joe Girardi in that freaking pack. Notice on Frank Thomas. Running the precursors. We haven't found a Bernie Williams rookie or a Larry Walker or a Juan Gonzalez yet, which is surprising because I feel like those are usually abundant in these packs. A checklist card, I would have hated that as a kid. Jose Gonzalez. And there's an oil can Boyd. Mike Heath ends that pack. Ripping right along here. Yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do next. We got a bunch of stuff to do, but I started really doing some renovations. I got real sick of my the TPIA studio / toy room being a giant freaking mess. So I started going nuts in there and trying to organize everything, moving things around. So that's why things are discombobulated. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to do videos right now because there's crap everywhere. So the Great Garage Sale will take place next Saturday. Joseph C., you're in the area, come on down to that, man. I might even live stream it. I don't know. Corey said I should do a live stream. I don't know if anyone would even watch that, but a live garage sale, maybe even take you around and see if there's anything people want. There's a Maddox, Gary Thurman. Business says we need a toy room update video when it's done. Yeah, I definitely need to do one because I feel like there's a lot of things I have not ever shown. Random stuff. So much RGB stuff. Yeah, the cool thing about that, I'm actually going through my garage too, and a lot of that stuff is from when I closed the store down. I forgot that I even had a bunch of it. Paul says, will the red rail be for sale at the garage sale? Well, the red rail cannot be for sale ever because too much of a connection to that thing, carrying it on my back like Jesus for 7 miles down the side of the highway. There's the limpest in anything except Phil Stevenson. And almost getting arrested. We were like, I don't want to say the word breaking in, but we were going to a local college in the wintertime and just going into the basketball court that was on like the top floor and skating in the basketball court because I had a buddy who like kind of went to school there but dropped out. So we were just literally going in there and like taking that red rail in there and like putting stuff in there and skating in the basketball court. And we did it like a bunch of times, and then security eventually caught on to us and called the police. And the police tried to tell me that I couldn't take the rail, and I like wasn't having that. And I ended up taking it back. So there's a sweat-stained hat of Brian Clutterbuck, giving John Kruk a run for his money. So yeah, I guess essentially we kind of did trespass and break into that school, the college, and we're skating in their basketball court in the winter. It was a pretty sick spot, though. It was all right. Jeffrey Leonard and Mickey Tettleton. Jose Montez, what's going on, man? Yordi Wan says, I despise Clutterbuck. Is that because of the sweat-stained brim of his hat or just because of him as a person? Paul L's calling a Mandela effect on Marty Peavy. I could definitely go along with that as well. I don't think that card ever existed before. And of course, if you have not checked out the TPIA Facebook group and the ongoing tally of every 90 Tops card I've ever seen out of a pack and on this channel for, 6 years, you can see all of them. And the most pulled, the least pulled, the Dan Billardello that I hated back in 1990, Bernie Williams rookie. That's definitely one of the bigger ones. I shouldn't say bigger, but bigger names. Burt Be Home by 11, Joe McGrain. There is a Bartlett Giamatti. I used to be real stoked on that card back in 1990. It was definitely in a top loader. Propaganda piece, the binder pages. There's Charlie Huff, Father Time, Alfredo Griffin, Paul Gibson and his dorky antics, and Terry Francona ends that freaking pack. As we trudge on, tampered pack wrappers. Vicky Roberts says, hi all, love this channel. Thank you, Vicky. It is a pleasure to have you with us. Beef Supreme Chalupa is greater than Frank Thomas. I've never had a Beef Supreme Chalupa. Oh, look at that. Tom Gordon, the precursor to Kurt Schilling, who's part of the trifecta, who is a precursor to Frank Thomas. Is tonight the night? Is tonight Jimmy Shaker night? That's a reference to the movie Ransom. Is it? Nah, it's not. We should all be ready for that and expect that at this point in life. But the name's there. Still have the card regardless. Number 414, the freaking Frank Thomas. We should have all known what we're getting ourselves into as 50 people now leave the room because it hasn't been pulled. Saberhagen. But at least we have the Civil War era Mitch Williams to comfort us in these dark, dark times. Lee Smith, there's Andy Allenson. And we should have a Henderson in the pack. There he is. Ricky Henderson is going to end it. William Sharp says, did I miss it? Did you find it? You did miss it. It was just pulled, and we all went crazy in here in a parallel universe. Not this one, unfortunately. There's Steinbach starting things off. Tim Tuffle. There's a Biggio. Also could be a partial blacklist. That one is not. Mark T says, don't get me on Taco Bell milk. Yeah, what the hell is that? Me and Joseph C. were talking about that yesterday. He sent me a video about Taco Bell milk. It sounds absolutely filthy. There's a Hershiser, Felix Fermin. Bonds shows up. Jimmy Key. And one of Corey's friends, Scott Bankhead. And Kirk McCaskill. Ends that freaking pack. Wally Moon says, you too can own that exact Frank Thomas card in next Wednesday's TPIA auction. Truer words have never been spoken. Joseph C. knows me all too well, I guess. Yes, you can find, what the hell? Well, it looks like somebody defecated inside of this pack wrapper at some point over the last several decades. And it definitely seeped onto the cardboard of the cards. We'll see what we got. My luck, it's probably an name on front that has a giant shit stain directly on it. Biggio, Peterson, there's Willie Frazier. And Reynolds, there is Mark Eichhorn, a.k.a. Lois Einhorn. Brown, Tibbs, there is Doc Gooden, and an arch enemy from my childhood, freaking Vance Law. I'm sure Joe B. is rejoicing wherever he's at. Actually, he's at the National, so if he's still there and he's watching this, he'll be stoked to see Vance Law. Kevin Bergman says, I haven't been seeing Ricky Berwick lately. Has he been live? Keep missing him. Greg Fox says, was there an auction this week? I did not do one this week. I took the week off. I will be doing one again coming next Wednesday. And hopefully I'll have some things together. But like I said, I've been getting literally 10 collection calls a day. Now, I don't follow through on all of them, but it's been pretty busy as far as that aspect goes. Everyone's trying to sell their stuff, apparently. But the majority of it's junk wax, which I'm not opposed to because there's definitely a lot of good stuff in the junk wax era. I mean, I honestly think at this point, that's how I'm going to find the Frank Thomas, just in a random collection from way back in the 90s. Someone just has one in a box somewhere. Probably my best bet at this point to find in the pack is pretty freaking tough. Dave B says, hello. Something about Wisconsin. Last summer we had a baseball card shop and he had 90 Tops packs for $1 a piece. That's pretty cool. Yeah, $1 a piece these days is it's pretty cheap. 5 years ago, wasn't really that good of a deal. There's a chiseled physique of Tommy Gregg, but now that these boxes are 70 to 80 bucks, which is nuts, then $1 a piece is a good price. That's what I paid for the ones I opened, I think, last month. I think I found like 20 random packs for $1 a piece, which used to be not really a good price whatsoever. There's Bo Jackson, Mike Scott, and Chris Sabo is going to end that pack. Mike Willaris now seeing Matchbox 20. Thanks for getting that stuck in my head again. It hasn't been in there at all today. Trying to think of what has been in my head lately. I'm pretty sure the School of Rock song popped in there again. I'm pretty sure I will die. And on my deathbed, Jack Black singing songs from that movie will be going through my head, which is awful. It's literally a curse. We got Brian Smith at the house. Says, hello, John and friends. What is going on, Brian? Good to see you, man. George Brett's Pine Tar joining us for the ever so disappointing search. But at least we can all hang out, rip 90 tops, see some poop stains, and be debaucherous together. There's a gum-stained Jim Abbott that's probably still listed on eBay for $10,000 with all kinds of pseudo heirs. Don Zimmer looking real pissed in that photo. There's Dave Maggot. At one point in time, I think that was the most commonly pulled card from this series. I think we have surpassed it with like a Mike Scott All-Star or something. Maybe I'm getting things switched here. Second year, Brady Anderson, Mike Jackson, and else in there. Mikey G says, I asked Ricky about his upcoming sex change surgery. I bet he was pissed about that. Snap Super Channing. Jim Abbott rookie card. No, according to Alexa, it's Pintar. Yeah, I was wondering how that got messed up on there, Brian. Like, what the hell happened with that screen name? There's Lance Johnson, Mitch Webster. Some sort of herpes virus overtaking his entire face. Chad Kruger. Brian Sandberg again, the All-Star card. Oh, man. We miss you already, Rhino. The second part of the trifecta, Kevin Hickey. Checklist card should be a second-year Randy Johnson behind that one. Brian Fisher. I mean, that was definitely not a card I was stoked on. Maybe I had premonition and could see into the future and knew someday I'd buy a collection that had an 88 tops Brian Fisher with a $2,000 price tag. That's the only thing that makes sense. Still got a lot of packs left. Did I get a Jeff Wilson autograph? I did not. I did not go to the National. I saw Jeff Wilson with a pack of 55 Bowman, though. I was honestly surprised by the price of it. I think it was $4,500 for a 55 Bowman pack, which to me that seems kind of cheap. I don't know. I would think they'd be more expensive than that, but I thought it was interesting that he had a 55 Bowman expert on with him, and the guy didn't seem like he knew anything about the 55 Bowman set. So it's like, I don't really know how you're an expert, because you certainly have a lot of questions while he's opening these. There's Dave Smith, his Eternal Sunglass Tan line. While he mentions Alexa needs to play some Buck Cherry, just like Pete Maynard. He gets brought up at least once a week between my buddy and I. Pete Maynard, and how we will find him someday. And I won't finish that sentence because it might get me put on some sort of watch list. Darren Jackson, Dave Stewart, the Gold Cup of Gary Sheffield, Billy Swift, Gubaza, and Paul Molitor is going to end that pack. Paul's is expert, more like a dumbass. Yeah, if you watch the video, you'd be like, the guy's like, he's hyping, Jeff Wilson's hyping him up a whole bunch. And he's like, this guy's an expert. Like, I don't know if he's like a self-proclaimed expert, but he didn't know, like, basic things about the set. Like, even the first question, he's like, why is the border on these ones different or lighter than the border in these other ones? And he's like, and the expert's like, I think those are low numbers. You're an expert. I don't know if you're really scratching your head and thinking about the most basic of questions. The difference between low and high series. That just seems like something you should probably know about a set that you are the proclaimed expert. There's Marquise Grissom, rookie. Pretty hot one back in 1990. There's Kelly Gruber, a.k.a. Dave Coulier. Jeff Wilson is a poser. He doesn't really seem like he knows anything about vintage cards whatsoever. Ben McDonald, PSA 10s of that, definitely high. Absolutely, for the nostalgia factor of it. There's Clemens. Corey would call him the Rocket. Scott Geraltz and his laser eyes. I don't remember seeing that card ever. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Randy Reddy, Manuel Lee, Greg Brock, and Mike Pagliarulo. Try saying that 10 times fast. Paul also, was Jeff Wilson the same guy that said Lewis Taint? That is the same guy. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I thought about going to the National. If it was in Ohio, I would definitely be there right now, or would have been there at some point. But Chicago's like 9.5 hours away. We did that drive in 2019, went out there, and it sucked. It just was such a long freaking drive, and parking is super expensive. Hotels are super expensive. And then you're going to drop a bunch of money while you're there. Probably pay full comps for everything. It's hard to get a deal on a lot of stuff, I feel like, unless you go maybe later in the show or later in the week. Sosa rookie shows up, the second best rookie we can find. Greg Vaughn, future star for Wally Moon's Unibrow. He is probably very excited at the sight of that. Paul, so I remember you heading out to Chi-Town. Yeah, it was a long trip. I hate when they do it out there like consistently or consecutively, and they don't, because I think next year it's in Chicago again, and then I think it might go to Jersey after that. I forget. I looked at the calendar for it a while ago. Sparky Anderson, real pissed off as ever. The propaganda piece for Galassi All-Stars set. Yeah, if it's Jersey, I'll go to Jersey or Atlantic City. And Ohio, of course, is awesome. They didn't do it in Ohio until last year. It was from like 2018 to 2024. So I went 6 years without doing it out there. So hopefully they, try to incorporate that into it a little more often. McCammon rookie for Paul L. Dale Murphy, Albert Joey Bell, and Rick Leach ends that pack. What do we got, 12 packs left? Something like that. It looks like it. One of them says I have an entire 5,000 count box of just Greg Vaughn and Dan Plesac. He's not kidding. I've seen it. Dave says I intend to go at least one day next time it's in Atlantic City. Yeah, Atlantic City's not too bad of a drive for me because I think that's only about 5 hours, 5.5 hours. I could do that. I could do that one day and drive back, but definitely not not trying to go to the National, drive 9.5 hours or whatever, get there, then drive back. That definitely sucks. I don't know anyone that can really do that except maybe truck drivers. Boggs, Jerome Walton Gold Cup. And McClendon, Julio Franco. Mitchell, Sweet Lou Whitaker, Tom Kelly and his frostbitten nose. There's a Draybeck. Will Clark for Brian Smith. And there is the Hawk for Corey. But the National's freaking awesome because you go there and you see cards that you don't ever see anywhere. Just like me last year, seeing the 91 front. I don't know if I've ever actually seen it in person until last year. It's just not something. And I've gone to the National in between the last 5 years or 6 years. And I don't think I ever saw that card until last year. And the guy had 2 PSA 8s. They were $10,000, which is wild. Probably more valuable than that now, honestly. We got Alton in the house. What's going on, Alton? There's Kevin Bass for Trevor Williams. He's at the Weird Al concert right now. I don't know if he can hear us or not. Delano rookie card. Big one at one point in time. We got Eric Davis. Pat Combs. Big prospect back in this time. And a stickiness of Tim Burke. Dykstra, Jay Bell. Literally looks like he's about to break down in tears. And, of course, the $120 Roger Craig manager card has arrived. Look for it on next week's auction, along with the Frank Thomas. Whoa. Dropping stuff everywhere. I missed out on some sort of shenanigans. I was too busy just swooning over that coveted Roger Craig. There's an imposter, Jerry Manley? What was he saying? I missed it. That's not the real Jerry Manley? Are you sure? Who would pretend to be him? Jordy Watt in the house says, now the 91 front is off the table, let's shift our focus to the CWE Mitch and the Glen Allen Seal short print. Where are they? Thank you for that, Jordy Watt. The short print of Glen Allen Seal. You are right, man. We don't ever see that card. It is pretty freaking rare. Civil War and Mitch Williams, we did see one of those already. He's been off the wall tonight. A fake Jerry Manley? Who does that? Oh, that is hilarious. We got to track Jerry Manley down. Well, the real Jerry Manley's in here because it says member for 36 months or 38 months or whatever it was when we first started the live stream. So unless some lurker or weirdo out there saw him in here and then went and made a fake account and then came in, what the hell kind of shenanigans are happening around here? Here's Tat Padler, Carter, Fernando Valenzuela. Somebody, Stargazer is going streaking through the neighborhood. That sounds kind of pleasant in the rain, actually. Paul Kilgis ends that pack. Paulos is definitely an all-time troller. I looked down and I saw that Jerry Manley got hidden by Paul, and I'm like, what did he do? He's been around for years. So that makes sense. It does make sense. Very interesting night, indeed. Perhaps there's still a Frank Thomas heir hiding out in one of these packs. How crazy would that be? I don't think I have that kind of luck, but we shall see. Alex Sanchez, Jason Grimsley had the freakishly long cyborg arm. And Paul L's waiting on that Futurama Drew Hall, which we have yet to see, and I'm kind of upset about it myself. Jim Rice, Oberkfell and his little scum stash. Petrali. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have some gum damage. It's not terrible, but there's a sword with a thumbs up. Stargazers, I don't even know what the Frank Thomas heir is. Well, that's okay. You don't need to know what it is. We're still happy to have you in here. And I hope that you enjoy yourself a good streaking tonight. There's Mark Lemke. Literally tears streaming the whole way down his neck in that photo. Fred Lynn. Hensley Mullins. Remember somebody telling me Hensley Mullins was their omen. I think they kept pulling his 89 Donruss card. I can relate to that. Bob O'Heda, John Wathan. Jim Gott shows up. Kevin McReynolds, also no stranger to scum stashes. There's Todd Benzinger. Unfortunately, someone bought that 5-cent Todd Benzinger that was down in Frederick, Maryland Antique Mall. I don't know who bought it, but I want to meet that person. Peter Guerrero at back. What do we got? 7 packs left? These rips go way too quick. We found no Larry Walker. I'm convinced that Larry Walker rookie's a short print. Because, like, I opened so many boxes and not found it. I feel like they printed way less of that card than all the other ones. There's a Gwynn All-Star card, Ken Griffey Sr. That's another $100 flea market card right there. Fisk, Rex Hudler, who was previously pronounced dead on this channel, but he is very much alive. Ripken Record Breakers. Mike Gallego, Montgomery. There's Dan Plezak for a buddy Wally Moon, who's probably watching this on the side of his house right now. Puckett, Stan Javier, and his ever so commendable unibrow. And it looks like we are in luck. We have, not because we have a Vaughn Hayes, who I hated as a kid, but we have the scraggly mullets and antics of Robin Yount to end that pack. And then there were 6. Super, yeah, the no-no in front is very rare. It is super rare, and there's all kinds of fake counterfeits being sold on eBay, and people are buying them from what it seems like. They're in sold listings. We might have the other part of the trifecta here. There's Ripken All-Star car. We got the Williamson. That means that the 3-headed Mickey Weston is unearthed yet again. Summoned. The Nick West SSP will now remain on the screen and probably curse your wax rips, at least for a couple days. Chatty Foos is watching hot air balloons and 90 tops. That's freaking awesome. It's a good combination. Chuck Finley, Bud Black, Todd Worrell, Briley Anderbecky. Pushing buttons with the emojis. Paul Ellis is a 3-headed Mickey West as a channel icon. And he definitely is. And it takes a lot to actually summon him forth from the depths. Kind of like this Frank Thomas all name on front. The polar opposite of the card we're chasing after in a Pop 1 in PSA 10. That card's wild. Yeah, we'll put it on the screen too. Why the hell not? We've gotten very off topic tonight. Might as well keep it going. And we'll open a crate of 88 Donruss after this in honor of Joseph C. That's his favorite design of all time. We got another Tom Gordon, so that means another Thomas is going to be in this pack. Kurt Schilling, not a freaking rookie. Please stop calling it that. Well, I mean, the guaranteed way to tell, the sure way to tell is the black line on the side. And I see it there, so that means it's not going to be the air. But we got 2. I couldn't tell you last time I opened a box season pulled 2 Thomas rookies, so I like it. I like it more than pulling 1. 2 Thomas rookies, and no sign of Juan Gonzalez yet. That's kind of crazy, too. Kevin Gross, Henderson, Dykstra, Bell, and we're just hitting all kinds of luck tonight because that's $240 right there in 2 Roger Craig cards, according to the people at the Altoona Flea Market. Bob and Zepak. What do we got? 4 packs left. So forgive me there. I was looking at this stack of disgusting gum that's piled up around me. I never realized how filthy it was when I was opening the packs, but it's pretty grimy. Jesse Barfield, Candelaria. There's a Donnie Baseball. First time seeing him in this box. Roy Smith with the X-Files-like background. Rasmussen. Don Zimmer beat up Roger Craig one time. Savage that Zimmer. Pure ruffian. I'll never forget about the Pedro Martinez literally hip checking and hip tossing Don Zimmer onto the ground. So iconic. I love it. Will McGee. And then there were three. You can't really see the Frank Thomas on him in front because of the crappy lighting that we have going in my ghetto setup of a living room. But we have 3 packs left. In desperation for one of the most infamous error cards of all time. Let's find it. Herbeck, Boddicker, Doug Jones, the Wild Gunslinger, Mark Langston. I don't know why I think Larry Walker's in this pack. You'd think I would know the exact collation by now, but maybe I'm just thinking of the giraffe-like neck antics of Dave West that followed Mark Langston. Larkin, Bob Malacki, Randolph the Hawk, and Jeff Montgomery. And Alton says, TPIA, my all-time favorite channel. Thank you, Alton. Please check out Alton's channel, his rips. I think his most recent video, he opened 2025 Topps Chrome. So Alton opened some older stuff, but he opens a lot of newer stuff too. And that's not all he does on his channel, so check him out. Corey can post a link to him, or Paul L. Alton is definitely a good friend. You don't want to miss out on his content either. Jeff Innes, rookie card. It took me like, I think, 2 hours one night to find that. So it's up there, the Scott Scudder. Spanky LaValliere, 5,000 Ks for Nolan Ryan. Ugh, real bad stain on that one. The sweet throwback threads of that top shirt, which I definitely have that shirt. Brian Smith actually sent me that in a black. Not wearing it right now. I was wearing it yesterday. Javier, Von Hayes, Darling, Ramon Martinez. One freaking pack left to end the debauchery. There's a link to Alton's channel, Cards, Cars, and Guitars. Thank you, Paul L., for posting that. Subscribe to him and check him out. Show him some love. Push buttons, I second that. TPIA is a place to be past, present, and future. Thanks, Jonathan. Except anytime I open stuff from the present, no one wants to see it. I do have some newer stuff that maybe we'll open at some point in life, but I always talk myself out of it. Another Bernie Williams rookie card, but I think we do have a newer rip coming up, maybe even tomorrow night, actually. That mystery box, it's a cardboard box, so the whatever box inside of it is the mystery that I bought in Maryland like a couple weeks back. We have to open that. I'm calling Mandela effect on Dan Murphy. I don't think that card ever existed back in 1990. Paul L., what do you think about that? I've opened a lot of boxes and a lot of packs in 90 Tops, and I've never seen that card in my life. A. Bartlett Giamatti, Joel Skinner having a time of his life. Bobby Bowe. Paul Else has never seen that card either. That's what I thought, man. It does not look familiar. John Smiley, that one's for Ed Smiley if he's in here. Pack pulled. Templeton, Paul O'Neill for Mikey G, and Shane Raleigh is going to end this greasy wax rip. Ends in failure yet again, as it always does. And that's the last 90 Tops box that I have on hand right now. So I don't know if I'll be doing it in September. If I do come across it, I will buy it if it's a good price. And we will never, ever let this search end, ever. So that being said, 2 Thomas rookies, 2 Bernie Williams. I almost call him Burness Williams. So Burness Williams. And a Sosa. We sum the trifecta, then 3-headed Mickey Weston. And it might just be a good time to just sit back and relax, crack open a Zevia, and check out this 1994 TV guide from Connecticut featuring the final MacGyver made-for-TV movie. So that is the road I'll be heading down. So thank you guys all for watching. You guys freaking rule. Hopefully I'll see you back tomorrow night with some random-ass mystery